Yo, what up, peeps? Erik Galaxy here. So NFL preseason has ended, so now we get to wait another week from today to get into the real thing. The big news in preseason this last week was that Justin Herbert and I believe it was like 12 other of his Charger teammates, plus the wife of legendary broadcaster Dan Fouts, was stuck in an elevator for 2 hours in Dallas. My first thought was, how do you get 15 players, how do you get 15 people into a hotel elevator? Because I'm doing the math. I'm going, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, maybe I'm like, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, 4, 8, and then maybe, if you're really pushing people up against the knobs and the doors, like, okay, maybe another 4. That's 12 people. 15 people is 3, and that's if those people are regular, normal kind of size, like maybe me or whatever. Maybe some women in there, whatever. But 15 people in an elevator and they're football players, what were they trying to do? Were they trying to do that kind of that back in the day where how many people can we stuff into a Volkswagen or phone booth or whatever type of thing? Because 15 people, so I started thinking, well, maybe it's a freight elevator. It's got to be a freight elevator because then I can say, okay, yeah, I get, yeah. But nowhere did I read anything where it said it was a freight elevator. It was all a hotel elevator. What the heck? What are you trying to stuff 15 people in a hotel elevator? Anyways, maybe it was like a bunch of wide receivers, because they're all kind of thinnish and whatever, but also tall. But I don't know the ratio of linemen and wide receivers that were in the elevator, but come on, 15 people in an elevator? There are some people, and this was kind of my initial reaction, because Jim Harbaugh came out saying that, oh well, it was a great bonding experience for them, and I wish I would have been in there with them, but I missed it by that much. Get smart. Missed it by that much. Google it. And you're thinking, bonding experience. So I wonder, maybe he went over there and kind of, I don't know, pushed the button, pulled a lever, did whatever, so that his team could have a bonding experience. But there were Dallas firefighters involved, and they had to climb through some panels in the one elevator to get to another elevator and whatnot. So I think that would have been pretty much a very elaborate, expensive, and dick move scheme by John Harbaugh to do that. Jim Harbaugh, to do that. So, yeah. Also, I'm thinking, what were they doing for 2 hours in an elevator? 15 people crammed together. I'm looking at, this is kind of like a Lord of the Flies situation. I don't know. Or were they all singing John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith or Kumbaya or something? Because they can't sit down, can't lay down. I'd like to see more details on this. But yeah, stuck in an elevator. So the other news, obviously, is the teams had to cut down their squads from 90 plus people to 53. That's a big cut. That's, almost 40 people. You have to show the door. Man, gotta be, that would suck. Having to be somebody to fire somebody, and pretty much destroy their dreams or at least put them on hold for a while. I mean, yeah, they get to bring back 16 players on the practice squad. So, I mean, okay, so 16 guys get to come back and play on the practice squad. They're not going to be suiting up for any games. I saw a thing where the practice squad members make around $225,000 for being on the practice squad. For get paid out, it was $12,500 per week for the season. What's that, 18 weeks, whatever? So, it's not a bad gig if you can get it, being on the practice squad. Yeah, I mean, I saw one thing where one of the players on the 49ers got cut, but then they re-signed him on a contract deal. So, I mean, I don't know how it all works. That's, once again, that's contract financial mumbo-jumbo that I don't understand. I mean, yeah, so if you're in the practice squad, man, you can make a pretty good, I mean, $225,000? That would take me, at my current rate, about 9 years to make. So, yeah, good deal if you can get it. But, so anyways, preseason football is over, and on to the real thing. Oh, before I forget, Hawkeye technology will not be used to first downs this year in the NFL. Which is kind of interesting because they were really pushing that. We're going to Hawkeye technology, we're going to Hawkeye technology. Then I guess they found out during the preseason that maybe it wasn't good. It might be good for tennis, maybe volleyball, or other stuff, but no bueno for football. There's a whole lot of circumstances because players standing in front of cameras and I don't know, yeah, whatever. But anyways, they've decided to cut that out this year and possibly, check it out again next year. Yeah, Hawkeye technology will not be used. All right, so NFL. I'm not one who's big on lists. Top 100 this, top 10 that, best, worst, yada, whatever type of thing, because it's all subjective, right? But this one survey intrigued me a little bit because it was quarterbacks in the NFL ratings. And I think they did the worst quarterback, best quarterback, most overrated quarterback, and apparently it was taken and there were 103 players that were in this survey. Current players. Why 103? That seems kind of like a weird number, right? 103? Why not 110 or 100? Why 103? Was that, maybe they sent out queries to everybody in the league and said, hey, and only 103 people responded? I don't know. But anyways, seems like a weird cutoff number. But anyways, so apparently Josh Allen came up as the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. Okay. I think he also was number 3 on best quarterback in the NFL. So, I mean, once again, these things, surveys come up and, I mean, what if some guy has a beef with Josh Allen? Well, I never liked him, or I played with him and he never threw me the ball enough, or I don't know, some weird shit like that goes on. It's like, well, and what's the rating system? It's like, well, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just tally it all up, and then whoever gets the most votes, like kind of like that whole Heisman thing or whatever, they get the most votes or whatever. But it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous because we all know, well, anyone who has half a brain knows, is that Dak Prescott is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. This whole so Apparently they signed CeeDee Lamb to a big contract because they figured he was the weapon that Dak needed to like get the job done. Otherwise, he was not going to be able to win anything. Poor Jerry Jones, billionaire. You know, I remember when Ezekiel Elliott held out, went to Cabo, and everybody's saying, Jerry, you gotta pay Zeke. You gotta pay Zeke. He's the best running back in the league. You gotta pay him. And Jerry Jones is kind of like, oh, I don't know. Well, yeah, okay. And then finally he caves in and gives Zeke all this money and everything. And then what happened after that? Zeke kind of went. I mean, yeah, sure, he's back this year because he still has value, but he ain't got the money value that he had before. And then Dak came along and he got injured, but everybody said, whoa, Jerry, you got to pay Dak because he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You got to pay him. And Jerry's like, yeah, okay, well, I don't know. He hasn't really done anything, but okay, here's your money. What's happened after that? Kind of a flat line. Maybe a little bit down, kind of a flat line. So now, Jerry's like, screw this shit. I ain't paying nobody no more money anymore if they can't do what I want them to do. So, but you know, and that's why he did the Trey Lance experiment. Trey Lance experiment comes along, and that hasn't gone so well. So now Jerry is crossing his fingers, hoping that, okay, please, Dak, do good this year. Do really good this year, and I'll pay you. But then if he doesn't do that good this year, he's like, yeah, well, you know what? Maybe we move on to somebody else. But that'll be very interesting to see what happens in that situation. But like I said, Dak Prescott is the most over it. Once again, throw out all those bullshit stats. Not a winner. He's not a winner. He doesn't have it up here. Alright, so no NFL football for another week, but we have a shitload of college football happening. Already there has been one major upset. Number 10, Florida State losing to unranked Georgia Tech this past weekend. But we are in a 12-team playoff year. So one loss doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to not make it into the that 12-team playoff thing. But or maybe it does. I don't know. We'll see. There's been some discussion about how college football quality may be deteriorating somewhat because of the NIL situation. What they're saying is that, well, because let's say a player from a smaller college has a really good season, and a bigger college says, hey, you know what, we want that guy, so we'll pay you money to come over to play for us instead. So they leave that program to go play there, so that diminishes that program because they don't have the money, blah, 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 blah. It's not the NIL money that's causing the problem, it's the transfer portal. Because if you remember, back in the day, if you wanted to transfer from one college to another, you had to sit out a year. You couldn't play for a year. Also, I believe you could not transfer within the conference. You had to transfer outside of the conference or something like that. But that all went away, and that was all willy-nilly. Everybody can go everywhere. So I think that if they were to put back those rules and said, hey, you know what, or make up rules said, you know what, I mean, let's face it, the NCAA is a crumbling organization as it is. But if they have any power at all, they would maybe take that transfer portal and modify it. So say, okay, you know what? Yeah, if you sign with the college, that you have to be there for 2 years, and then you can transfer out. But you have to wait out. Make it way more difficult to transfer from university to university. That's what I personally think. Because NIL money, Sure, give it to everybody. I don't care. But that transfer portal thing, I think, is the real problem here. Teams will no longer be able to cherry pick who they want or whatever. So, just saying, maybe that's what we need to do here. So I'm watching the Colorado North Dakota State game, and I find myself rooting against Colorado. And then I found myself rooting for Colorado. The reason being is that it doesn't really matter. I mean, one way or another, it's going to be a story, right? It'll be either, oh, Deion Sanders lost that first game with his revamped team, or hey, he pulled out a squeaker, or hey, he destroyed North Dakota State, which is, let's face it, they're like one of the top teams in the FCS. But anyways, it didn't really matter to me. It's like, it's going to be a story. It's going to be a story one way or another. Particularly because the real story behind all this is Deion Sanders and Colorado University banning a reporter from asking Deion Sanders any more questions. For what they said were personal attacks on Deion Sanders. I saw what the reporter said, and I mean, were they personal attacks? I mean, they were, basic reporters basically saying, you know, this coach is crap. This coach doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm pretty sure that goes around all over the place. So, I don't know what they call it, personal attacks. There was no mention of family members, because we all know that one of the unwritten rules is you can say anything you want about me, but don't say anything about my family. Okay, got it. Nothing in there was said about his family. They were basically, one of the better ones was, he called Deion Sanders the Bruce Lee of BS. I thought that was really good. False prophet, he called him a false prophet. He called him Deion Kool-Aid or something like that. But it's like, what the heck, man? It's like, you know, you're going to be a coach, the head coach of a team in a sport. Yeah, you're pretty much going to get people, you know, when you're not winning, calling you names and shit. So I don't understand what it's all about, but they won. Alright, so I finally got around to watching the Netflix documentary Untold Sign Stealer, about that Connor Stallion guy, Stallion with one L, not two, Stallion, who was basically the chief sign stealer for the Michigan Wolverines. The first takeaway that I had was that he didn't call it stealing. He called it deciphering. Because apparently, back in the day when he went up to Navy and said that he wanted to help the team and be a coach in some way or whatever, help out or whatever, he asked what he could do, and somebody said to him, well, you know, we don't have a sign decipher, so why don't you try that? And he didn't ask for it. He didn't walk up and say, you know what, I want to steal signals or decipher. He walked up and said, hey, what can I do? And they said, yeah, we don't have a guy who does this. Which leads me to believe that it was already a thing that teams do, and that everybody knows it. But he had the drive and mentality to take it to the next level. One thing about deciphering, apparently there's a community, some kind of like underground community that, like, you know, passes information to each other about how to decipher stuff. Decipher, not steal, decipher. Did he cross the line? Did he push the line? Some say he may have just walked the line. I'm not going to tell you how to, if you watch it, you can make your own, whatever. Because they got people on there that were like, oh yeah, he was an asshole. He went and did things illegal and blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, well, I didn't really do this. I didn't really do that. I kind of exploited the rules. So, I mean, was he rogue? Or was he like the perfect employee? He's one of those kind of guys that's like, if he's on your team, you're like, yeah. If he's not on your team, you're like, screw you. There's some guy that came on the documentary. He was called Brohio. Obviously, Ohio State fan. He had this mask. It's like a scarf covering his face and dark sunglasses and a hat and everything. So you couldn't tell who he was, and you're thinking, So either this guy is really well known that he has to cover himself up, or he's afraid of retaliation or something. I'm not really sure about all that. But yeah, he was like, yeah, they came in, blah, blah. Anyways, it's a pretty interesting documentary because I, like a lot of people, thought the guy was just a jerk. I thought, oh, who's this guy like that? There's another thing about, did Jim Harbaugh know? Did he know what was going on? I'm kind of getting the feeling that, since this one guy said, hey, you want to be our sign stealer? Everybody knows it's going. You're trying. What was that old rule? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But the guy was obviously obsessed with being a coach, so much so that he went into the Marines because he found out that all of the best coaches over the history had been in the military or had some dealing with military. So he goes and joins the Marines. So obviously obsessed. Plus the fact that the guy, he dresses up like legendary Michigan coach Bo Schembechler, 3 years old for Halloween. What the F? I mean, and they show footage of him, and he's like, has his sweats on and the hat on. He's got a clipboard, and he's right. That's obsessed. That's some might say social. But anyways, apparently he's a really smart guy, and he's really good at the job he did. Yeah, he crossed some boundaries, maybe. I don't know. There's still an ongoing investigation into all of this, so we shall see. But once again, the NCAA is a piece of shit, and it needs to be abolished. So I really like that new Dr. Pepper commercial with Quinn Ewers on it, he plays the deputy to Brian Bosworth's sheriff guy, and Brian Bosworth is saying, calling for backup, and Quinn Ewers is like, I don't need no backup, we don't need no backup, we don't need backup. It's like, what? We need backup? And it's like he's talking about, and it took me a couple of minutes, well, not a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, to figure out, what's he talking about with the good hair and the famous family? And like, oh, I get it. Archie Manning Jr., yeah, and the Mannings. So, yeah, pretty funny commercial. The other commercial that kind of caught my eye last week was that Red Bull commercial with the guy who's supposedly kind of a James Bond character, and he's trying to cut the wires on the thing to fuse the bomb, whatever, and then the person in his headset's going, oh, drink the Red Bull, and then the bomb explodes and everything, and he's sitting in there like, oh, yeah, it doesn't give me wings or whatever, and I'm like, is he dead? Is he dead? And he's thinking that? Because it doesn't look like it. Because if that's all the bomb did, and he's sitting right next to it, then what the heck? Who cares? You probably just should have just walked away and let the bomb explode anyways. That's what it was going to do. Maybe it was a bad bomb. Maybe it was a dirty bomb. I don't know. But just seems kind of like, what's the point? Alright, so let's get into my shorts. And there's a lot in my shorts this week. So, Tom Brady is going to be an announcer for Fox this season. Um, he's also trying to become part owner of the Raiders as well. So there's kind of a conflict of interest there. So, because, I mean, if you're the part owner of a team, you can't go to other teams' practices, or you can't even go to their facilities, or you can't even go to the team meetings. I mean, which other announcers that are not part owners of teams are able to do. And the reason they do this is because they get more insight, so they become better broadcasters because they have more to work with along the way. Another one of the restrictions that the NFL will have on him is no excessive critique of officials or of other teams. Excessive. Excessive. What does that mean? Excessive. Like, you can critique, but you can't excessive critique? Where's the line on that? So I don't know how that's going to affect his career broadcasting, because, yeah, sure, it's Tom Brady, and we'll all listen to what Tom Brady has to say for a while until it becomes apparent that he isn't as prepared as other announcers because he has no longer the access that other announcers have. We'll see. So the scuttlebutt going around lately is that the Washington Commanders, the new owner, has kind of been suggesting that maybe they may change their name again, because apparently everybody hates that Commander's name. There's even talk that maybe they go back to the Redskins, because from what I understand, if you go to one of their games, there's a whole shitload of Redskins paraphernalia in the stands. Now, I worked at an Indian casino for a bit, and there were several tribal members there that wore their Redskins jackets and t-shirts and hats proudly. I mean, that was their team. I mean, we are the Redskins. So, I mean, yeah, I get that maybe a few people railroaded a bunch of other people, but not all Native Americans hate the Redskins name. So apparently, a lot of NFL players are lobbying to be on the Olympic flag football team. Can you say gold medal? I mean, hello? You know, Dream Team, basketball, whatever. I mean, I guess they figured, hey man, we see these basketball players getting these gold medals. We want a gold medal too. Flag football? Shit, let's do it. Of course, there's the conflict of, like, do owners want their players playing and possibly getting hurt, even though there's no contact, but pull an Achilles, pull a hamstring, something or other can happen to you, but that can happen walking down the stairs. Yeah, so, I mean, flag football in the Olympics with a bunch of NFL and former NFL players, even if they're former NFL. You get Terrell Owens out there. You get I don't know, what's that running back who's not, you know, somebody out there. You know, it's like you don't need current football players to do that. We could. I think our cast off. Well, not really cast offs, but our, you know, retired guys, Hall of Famer dudes. Hey man, you know, Joe Montana, get him out there. Yeah. So my girlfriend just recently signed up for some phone thing, deal, whatever she got. And one of the things they said, came back to her and said, hey, you get free NFL Sunday ticket. A $469 value. Now I talked about this last show, about the pricing and everything. And I'm thinking, just because she signed up for this phone deal, she's getting a $460 Sunday ticket. So if you don't sign up for the If you don't sign up for the phone deal, you're paying $469. But if you get the phone, and she's paying, I think, what, like $90 a month on her phone thing or whatever. I mean, I think that's too much myself, but yeah, you get, you know, NFL Sunday ticket for free. So I'm thinking, really, how much does it cost for them to, I mean, you flip a switch, there you go. You get, so it's basically jacking up the price because you know people are going to pay for it. That just seems a little bit unethical, if you ask me, because she's getting it for free. And I'm like, that's great, babe. All right, cool. But how much does it really cost? And who else is having to pay for her getting that free deal? Why does this even exist? Why is this even, I mean, like I said before, you can go to a frickin' bar, sports bar, and watch 15 televisions and they got all the games on there. So why would you pay $469 when you can just, like, a couple of beers and a hamburger? So there are other sports happening this week, the next week. The U.S. Open tennis thing is going on. Man, there was a time when I watched tennis a lot. That was back in the day though, like John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors, Chris Evert, Martina Navratilova, even you go to Boris Becker, Bjorn Borg, Yvonne Lindell, I mean, like Peters. I mean, there was a time when but these days I don't know. I don't know nobody no more. None of the Americans are that good anymore, except for that one girl, and you know, and you get, I don't know, just a bunch of people I don't know from countries I can't pronounce properly. I mean, I will watch the finals. I'll watch those. I won't watch any matches leading up to the finals. I'll just watch. And apparently a lot of people have dropped out already. A lot of top ranked people have already dropped out for weird reasons like illnesses and back this and strain to this and whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll watch the final as long as I'm you know, not watching football, which is probably gonna happen anyways. But yeah, U.S. Open, go whoever. Alright, so that's our show. Subscribe, like, tell a friend, whatever, yada yada yada. Once again, WWE is not a sport, and Jim Plunkett needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, they just recently changed their rules so that coaches only have to wait 1 year to be eligible instead of the 5 years. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll change rules to allow Jim in the Hall of Fame. The only two-time starting quarterback winning Super Bowls to not be in the Hall of Fame. Peace out.